Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm here with Aaliyah Reynolds.
Hello.
She is in the financial space here in Idaho, and we just want to talk about all things financial, whether your goal is to buy a house at some point or just to gain some financial literacy. I feel like we're in a market where so many people are so afraid of numbers and finances, and I just feel like home buying can become so much more realistic when someone's kind of honed in on their numbers a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
I want to start by asking you, what is one wealth building myth that you would just love to bust?
Yeah, that's a great question. Personally, I would say that it's never too young. You're never too young or not established enough to start. I feel like a lot of people are like wanting to wait until they have more money or they have their dream job or they bought a house. But people don't realize like you got to start somewhere. And the earlier you start, the better. So I think it doesn't hurt any, if you feel like you're at the lowest point in your life or your highest point in your life, I don't think it hurts to talk or have a conversation about money with someone.
It's so true. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be rich, right? You just need to have a plan.
Yeah.
That's where everything gets set into motion. I run into a lot of clients who are either younger or just not completely financially set right now that feel like they need to hold off on buying a home because they can't afford what they want to afford. So what do you feel like are 3 easy, simple ways that someone can start saving money each month?
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel when they're younger they need a lot of money to do anything.
Right.
Which that takes a lot of time. No one just goes straight out of their career just like making money. So some easy, simple ways that I think help people save money is first just knowing what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize how much they're spending discretionary-wise, which is like going out to eat, having fun with friends. So knowing your fixed income versus your discretionary income is really helpful because then we can see how much is going in, how much is going out, and then how much total you have left over.
Yeah.
From there, then you can start building where that money needs to go and kind of start segueing it. The second one is probably, I usually tell all my clients who struggle with like saving money, it's called the 50-30-20 rule or the 60-20-20.
Okay.
Depending on your fixed expenses. So 50% is fixed expenses. So that's any bill that's recurring each month. Then 20% will be called, we call it like paying yourself. So that's 20% of your paycheck goes to your savings immediately. So that's the first thing you do every time you get paid. You do 20% straight to savings. And then the last part is that 30%, and that's your fun money. So people work their butt off. They deserve to have fun. So
a little bit,
30% should go to anything you want to do, if that's going out, hanging out with friends, buying clothes, because we know that's a necessity.
Yes, absolutely.
And a tax write-off, just kidding. So that's also a great way to like save consistently because it kind of creates a good habit of you of always just doing 20%, then 30% I've left over, and then 50% is fixed. If your fixed expenses are 60%, then you just get less fun money, sadly.
Right.
So that would be the one thing that you have to kind of shorten a little bit if your fixed expenses are more than what your income is. But the last one I'd probably just say is like being really stern on saving money. I feel like a lot of people, and if that even means having a savings account in a different bank, that it takes a little bit extra time just to transfer over, then do it.
That's what I have to do.
Yeah, it's great for people that it's so easy just to see your savings and your regular account and just go, oh, I need extra $200 right now. Transfer.
Right.
It takes seconds.
Right.
So I tell people, if you really struggle with like having like being strict on yourself, then open up a savings account in a different bank. That way it's a little bit harder. It makes you think a little bit harder than from pulling it out. So that's probably my top 3.
No, that's so good. You're giving your money a purpose and a place. And I am one of those people that I have a whole separate savings because once it's there, it doesn't exist to me. Because again, if I see that I have money elsewhere, I'm like, okay, I got a little more fun money.
Yeah, you forget about it. If it's in a different account, you forget you have money there.
It doesn't exist. If it's in there, it does not exist. And that has helped me save money so much. Like, because, down payments are not cheap things, right?
No.
So we need that, and especially I also love having a high yield savings. That's my favorite way of doing things, just because then you're kind of making money on your money, and you're not doing anything. There's no risk involved. It's just helps me build money for the things I want to spend money on.
Yeah, 100%.
And let's talk emergency fund, because that's obviously a thing. Like we're putting our money in all these different places. How much should someone have saved for just a typical emergency?
Yeah. So kind of the rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of fixed expenses. Obviously, I probably would not go over a year of fixed expenses in your savings, unless it is in a high yield or something that's growing. Because if it's just in a normal savings account, it's actually not keeping up with inflation.
Right.
So sadly, you are kind of losing. You're not losing any money, but if you're talking about inflation, you are losing money on that dollar. But 3 to 6 months is usually what I like to see, just in case you got injured, you had surgery, you lost your job. 3 months, you hopefully can get back on your feet. 6 months is like a good cushion extra.
Yeah.
But I would say 3 to 6 months usually.
And so an emergency fund is kind of something we all should have, right? It feels like maybe a basic part of our financial literacy when we're really gaining, knowledge of where do I need to put my money. Someone has an emergency fund, someone has a decent income. At what point are you saying, okay, yeah, we could start looking at purchasing a house, or putting, like, what does someone's finances need to look like to the point where you're saying it could be a good idea to buy a house?
Yeah, so I think a couple things come to mind. First off, buying a house, I'd probably have at least 6 months, just because it is a big purchase. You're going to be having a lot of upfront, so like your savings is going to deplenish.
Right.
Secondly, making sure you have a comfortable amount. Even though it's just fixed expenses, some people like having a little bit extra for cushioning. So if someone's like, hey, I want 10K my savings before that, then we need to hit that goal.
Yeah.
Do I think you need to have it? Not necessarily, depending on your situation. But I think as long as they're comfortable and they set a goal for themselves and they have a good income coming in and going out, like if that's a good relationship there and they have a safe number they fill in the bank, then I feel like it wouldn't hurt to have a conversation about what those numbers would look like.
Yeah.
And kind of go down that route.
Yeah, that's so good. So then if someone is saving for a home, if that is someone's goal, where should they put that money? Are we talking high yield, investment? What does that look like?
So depending on someone's time horizon will change a lot. So I can't speak for everyone in this situation. But someone who wants to buy it in the next year or two, I would definitely keep it in the bank just because the market's so unpredictable.
Right.
But I would keep it in the bank, either in a high yield money market, something that gives you a little bit of rate of return.
Right.
Or just having it somewhere safe that nothing with the market will affect it, really.
Right.
So as long as you're not getting a negative return in the next 1 or 2 years, I think having it in a money market or high yield is like perfect for wanting a down payment.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's something coming up soon. And so you would never recommend putting it in an investment account, or if you're looking to buy a house long term, maybe in 5 to 10 years, is that when you would play around with like putting it in the stock market, or would you, as far as a down payment, not even play with that?
It just kind of depends on the person.
Okay.
Each person's totally different depending on their risk take, so I can't speak necessarily on like what I'd recommend for them. But it just kind of depends on what the person's risk take is, how they want to do it. It's really up to them and what their situation is about.
That makes sense.
But I would say safest bet is high yield.
Right.
Probably my favorite one to choose from.
Totally.
Out of the 3.
Yeah, I love that. I'm not much of a risk taker, so I love to see everything just growing. Nothing's ever falling. It's so good. Being an agent in this realm, in this economy, has shown a lot of struggle with money. There's a lot of people that come to me that feel just scared to get pre-approved. They don't want someone digging in their finances. Getting pre-approved tends to be one of the scariest parts of the home buying process for especially my first-time home buyers. Even though it is one of the most important, if not the most important part about buying a house, that's going to determine your whole experience, right? So have you had an experience, or what is your advice for someone who feels all over the place with their finances, feels scared about it, feels shame about their finances maybe? How are you helping them with that?
Yeah, so I think the first issue is you just have to be comfortable with the person you're talking about.
Right.
If you got to be kind, these are people's like hard-earned money, and they feel like they're not at the stage they want to be.
Yeah.
Which is totally okay. Most of people aren't.
It's the truth.
So I feel like as long as you feel safe talking to that person, then it doesn't hurt. Because once we open up that curtain and actually see what's like underneath everything, what do you have? I feel like that helps people understand that, oh, I'm not in such a bad situation.
Right.
Or if they hear that other people are similar to them, like, I feel like they are more comfortable and be like, oh, it's not just me.
Absolutely.
It's such a taboo thing not to talk about money.
Yeah.
So you don't actually realize what the person next to you is going through.
Right.
They can be in such a similar situation, but because they look more put together, like they have ABC, like you think, oh, they're set.
Right.
At the end of the day, they could be having the same income as you, same fixed expenses going out and in. It just depends on how you present yourself.
Yeah.
So I think people just need to put themselves out there and just realize you're just like everyone else.
Right,
I think
so
majority
true.
of people I talk to are literally in the same boat.
Yeah.
So put yourself out there. Don't be uncomfortable. Like, I feel like me and you are so used to talking about money. It's
Right.
not an issue for us.
Right.
But for people coming in, like, just have an open mind and be like, it's going to be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So many people are also in my shoes. And once you kind of have that conversation and realize maybe you didn't get it pre-approved.
Right.
And you have a lower amount, but then at least you know how much you need to actually start saving,
right.
what you need to hit, and soon enough you're going to hit that. But you would have never known unless you didn't have that conversation, you know?
That's so the truth.
So I think as long as you're open, comfortable
Mm-hmm.
with the person you're talking to, I think it's 100% beneficial.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what would you say to someone who has gotten pre-approved, they know their amount, and they don't like it? They're saying, you know what, I need to save more. If they were to just start saving on their own versus coming to someone who is in the financial space, what do you think the differences in the money that's being saved, what are the differences going to look like?
Yeah, so I don't think there would be too many differences. I think the only difference is you're going to have someone sitting there telling you how much you should save, like
Right.
how much you actually can save versus how much you think you can save.
Right.
I feel like a
that's
lot
good.
of time people think, like, for example, they can save $1,000 a month.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't tell people. I go, what's your fixed income? How much is coming in? How much is going out?
Yeah.
I do the math myself, and I'm like, okay, they can save $1,000.
Mhm.
And then I go, how much do you think you, like, if we put our mind to it, how much could you save a month? People go, $500.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you have $500 extra left over each month.
Yeah.
I was like, do we need to fix your discretionary? Is it your fixed? Like, where do you think that kind of fallout is? And they're like, I just don't think I actually realize how much money I'm spending on little
Right.
things.
Right.
So I think going to someone and having them actually point out those flaws
Yeah.
is helpful and eye-opening.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual saving part of it, that's all up to you. That's when you gotta have, like, you gotta be stern. You gotta put that money aside and actually,
Right.
if it's a goal you want, you'll accomplish it.
Yeah. It's
If
the
it's
truth.
not something you want right now, then maybe it's not meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you want to do it, you're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just most people are.
It's the truth. And are you able to tell someone, hey, with inflation, with rising house prices, A, B, and C, this is approximately how much you're going to need to save if you want to put yourself in a different price category for a house or for something that they're looking to buy?
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where you play a part
Yeah.
of letting the client know how much they actually need to save.
Right.
Once they have that number and they're like, hey, I need to save this much a month.
Right.
I want to do it in 2 years. Then I'll do all the math for you and be like, you
Yeah.
can save this much a month to make that goal for the next 2 years.
Right.
Most of the time, it's realistic. If it's not, you might need to shift something in your budget.
Right.
Either downsizing a home and remodeling it,
Mm-hmm.
or even just picking up a second job or spending less on discretionary. Like, you're going to have to tweak something,
Right.
but I think it's always helpful to see that picture.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard for me when I have people say, I'm going to wait another year because house prices appreciate 3 to 5% every year. We've seen maybe a 2 to 3 more these last couple years, but 2 to 3% on a $300,000 house is, 8 to 10 grand. So 8 to 10 grand that you're saving in a year to put you in the exact same position that you were in this year. Like, that's just what the rising house cost is, just for the same exact house that you wanted this year. And so then I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's already a ton of money. And then they have to save how much more money just to get that leg up. That's why I love for people to have dissected their finances and actually gone into what the heck can I afford? What can I actually save? What does that look like? Because it hurts my heart. I don't want someone to, it's just like that rat race. I don't want someone to keep chasing something and falling behind,
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of people think, I want to wait for the market to go down. I want to wait for
Right.
this. I want to wait for that. And if I'm being honest with you, no time is going to be perfect.
No, it's the truth.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but let's just say they're locked in now. Prices drop. Could they refinance their home?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's where I kind of come to a point where, like, if you wait another year, maybe things go up. Maybe
Right.
you lost your job. or something big happened and you're like, I wish, you're gonna have regrets. So if it's something that you're truly feeling like it's worth it for you, then do it. If it's something that you're like, no, then maybe don't do it. But you should really think like, in a year, how much is actually gonna change in my life?
I mean, that's because I'm like, okay, the thought of saving 10, and this is on the low end. This is 300,000. This is a starter home.
Yeah.
To have to save 10 grand and then some in a year can feel so daunting.
Yeah.
When prices are high, all of that, and there's so many tools that can be taken advantage of right now. It's just, it's having these conversations. Is what is so uncomfortable. It's hard for people who deal with money every day. To us, it's just like, it's just the numbers. It's this is what it is. But for the people who are, you know, on the other end, it's just having that sensitivity of this is where we want to be, so we're going to try to get you there.
Yeah.
So because I speak to a younger audience most of the time, what is one decision you wish more people would make? One financial decision that you wish more people would make in their 20s?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say my biggest thing is starting young. Obviously, everyone says start younger.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of people are embarrassed that they don't make a lot of money, or their income's like only like 30 grand, and they're like, I feel like they don't think they're valuable enough to talk to someone, which is totally wrong. I think everyone has value in talking to someone. Just because you make 30 grand doesn't mean your fixed expenses could be so small that you're actually saving like 500 to a grand a month.
Yeah.
That's somewhere to start.
Right.
So I think as long as you can save money, you can start talking about planning in the future whenever you want. If you're in a good spot, like, it doesn't hurt to start younger. So
yeah,
I know everyone says it, but start younger. Don't be ashamed to go talk to someone, because we all have to start somewhere.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, that's so good. I feel like that's all I ever heard. That's what is Dave Ramsey? He's always, start in the womb. Start the second you're 3 months old. Start saving. But it is the truth. I mean, as people who have started young, it's such a blessing. And so I definitely want to encourage anyone that is young or old, whatever age you are, just get started now. Now is always the best time. Nobody in either of our spaces has a crystal ball, right? So just getting started now, and again, like, where there's a will, there's a way. If you really want to do something, we can help you make that happen.
Yeah.
So it's just taking those first steps of just having some conversations to see what you can actually get done. Yeah. I hope you learned something from today. Thank you, Aaliyah, for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.